එවං මේ සුතං ඒකං සමයං භගවා සාවන්තියං විහෙරති 제තවනේ අනාථ පින්ඩිකංස ආරාමේ අතකෝ අඤ්ඤතරා දේවතා අබින්කන්තාය රන්තියා අබින්කන්ත වන්නා කේවල කම්පං 제තවනං ඕවාසෙන්වා යේන භගවාතේනුපසංකමී උපසංකමින්වා භගවන්තං අභිවාදෙන්වා ඒකමන්තං අන්තාසී ඒකමන්තං තිතාකෝසා දේවතා භගවන්තං ගාතාය අංජබාසී බහුදේවා මනුන්සාච මංගලානි අචින්තයොං ආකංකමානා සොන්තානං බ්‍රෝහි මංගලමුන්තමං අසේවනාච බාලානං පණ්ඩිතානං ච සේවනා පූජාච පූජනීයානං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං පතිරූපදේශවාසෝච පුම්බීජ කත පුඤ්ඤතා අන්ත සම්මා පනිදිච ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං බාහු සංචංච සිම්පංච විනයෝච සුසිංකිතෝ සුභාසිතාච යාවාචා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං මාතා පිතු උපට්ඨානං පුන්තදාරංස සංඝෝ අනාකුලාච කම්මන්තා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං දානංච ධම්මචරියාච ඥාතකානංච සංඝෝ අනවංජානි කම්මානි ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං ආරති විරති පාපා මංජපානාච සංයමෝ අප්පමාදෝච ධම්මේසු ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං ගාරවෝච නිවාතෝච සන්තුන්තිච කතං යුතා කාලේන ධම්ම සවනං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං කන්තිච සෝව චන්සතා සමනානංච දන්සනං කාලේන ධම්ම සාකච්ඡා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං තපෝච බ්‍රහ්මචරියංච අරිය සංචාන දන්සනං නිබ්බාන සංචිකිරියාච ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං පුන්ටංස ලෝක ධම්මී චින්තං යන්සන කම්පති අසෝකං විරජං කේමං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං ඒතං ඊතාදිසානි කන්වාන සම්බන්තමපරාදිතා සම්බන්ත සොන්තිං ගච්ඡන්තිතං තේසං මංගල මුන්තමන්ති ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං කරණීය මන්ත කුසලේන යන්තං සන්තං පදං අபிසමින්ච සක්කෝජුච සුජුච සුවචෝචං සමුදු අනතිමානි සන්තුන්සකෝච සුභරෝච අම්පකින්චෝච සල්ලහුකවුන්ති සන්තින්ද්‍රියෝච නිපකෝච අම්පගම්බෝකුලේසු අනුනුගින්දෝ නචකුන්දං සමාචරේකින්චි යේන විඤ්ඤූ පරේ උපවදෙයුම් සුඛිනෝ වාකේමිනෝ හන්තු සම්බේ සන්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතන්තා ඒකේචිපාන භූතන්ති තසවාතාවරාවා අනවසේසා දීඝාවායේ මහන්තාවා මංජිමාරංසකානුකතුලා දිට්ඨාවායේව අන්දින්තා යේච දුරේ වසන්ති අවිදුරේ භූතාවා සම්භවේසීවා සම්බේ සන්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතන්තා නපරෝ පරං නිකුම්බේත ඥාති මඤ්ඤේත කන්තචිනං කංචී ව්‍යාරෝසනා පටික සංඥා ඥාඤ්ඤමඤ්ඤංස දුක්ඛමිච්ඡේය මාතා යතානියං පුන්තං ආයුසා ඒක පුන්ත මනුරංකේ ඒවම්පි සම්බභූතේසු මාන සංභාවයේ අපරිමාණ මෙත්තංච සම්බලෝකස්මින් මාන සංභාවයේ අපරිමාණ උන්දං අදෝච තිරියංච අසංභාදං අවේරං අසපත්තං තින්ඨං චරං නිසින්නෝවා සයානෝවායාවතන්ස විගතමින්දෝ ඊතං සතින් අදින්ඨේය බ්‍රහ්මමේතං විහාරං ඉදමාහෝ දින්ඨින්ච අනුපගම්ම සීලවා දන්සනේන සම්පන්නෝ කාමේසු විනය්‍යගේදං නහි ජාතු ගම්බසේයං පුනරේති. එවං මේ සුතං ඒකං සමයං භගවා සාවන්තියං විහෙරති 제තවනේ අනාථ පින්ඩිකංස ආරාමේ අතකෝ අඤ්ඤතරා දේවතා අබින්කන්තාය රන්තියා අබින්කන්තවන්නා කේවල කම්පං 제තවනං ඕවාසෙන්වා යේන භගවාතේනුපසංකමී උපසංකමින්වා භගවන්තං අභිවාදෙන්වා ඒකමන්තං අන්තාසී ඒකමන්තං තිතාකෝසා දේවතා භගවන්තං ගාතාය අංජබාසී බහුදේවා මනුන්සාච මංගලානි අචින්තයොං ආකංකමානා සොන්තානං බ්‍රෝහි මංගලමුන්තමං අසේවනාච බාලානං පණ්ඩිතානංච සේවනා පූජාච පූජනීයානං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං පතිරූපදේශවාසෝච පුම්බේච කත පුඤ්ඤතා අන්ත සම්මා පනිදිච ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං බාහු සංචංච සිම්පංච විනයෝච සුසිංකිතෝ සුභාසිතාච යාවාචා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං මාතා පිතු උපට්ඨානං පුන්තදාරංස සංඝෝ අනාකුලාච කම්මන්තා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං දානංච ධම්මචරියාච ඥාතකානංච සංඝෝ අනවංජානි කම්මානි ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං
Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters of Dhamma. Very good morning to all of you who have joined us early in the morning in this Sunday Facebook Live. Just remember to check on your Wi-Fi reception so that you can ensure a good Wi-Fi reception. Thank you very much. And for those of you who have just joining us for the very first time, I just would like to inform that, this morning you're joining us on our 54th online Sunday Buddha Puja service. And this will give an opportunity to all the Buddhist devotees an opportunity to continue the practice with our Buddhist faith and opportunity to listen to the Dharma sharing. Brothers and sisters, do share this morning's link with your friends and family members. Let us prepare ourselves and sit comfortably, relax our bodies and compose our mind. Let go of thinking about the past and future. Be at the present moment. I shall now hand over to Sister Anne.
Thank you, Brother Chuan. Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Namo Buddhaya. Let us begin with our Sunday Buddha Puja. To the devotees who have prepared the offerings, you may light your candles or oil lamps and make your offerings. May I invite Brother Chim to make the offerings to the Buddha. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us place our palms together in Anjali and contemplate mindfully. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang Pujemi, Dhammang Pujemi, Sanghang Pujemi. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us together take refuge in the Triple Gem and observe the 5 precepts. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kami sumiccācara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramiraya pamadattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho viccacarana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati sattha deva manussanang buddho bhagavati. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sandittiko akaliko ehipassiko oppanayiko pacchatang veditabbu vinyuhiti. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Ujupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Nyaya patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Samicipatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Yadidang cattari purisa yugani purisa pukkala esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakkineyo anjali karaniyo anuttarang punyaketang lokasati. Vandami cetiyang sabbang sappatani supatititang saririka dhatu mahabodhi buddha rupang sakalang sadang. Yassa mule nisinnova sabbari vicayang aka Patto sabbanyutang satta Vande tang bodhipadapang Ime ete mahabodhi lokanattena pujita Aham pite namasami bodhi raja namattute Ganasarappadittena dipena tamadansina Tilokadipang sambuddhang pujayami tamonudang Ganda sambara yuttena dupenahang sugandhina Pujaye pujaniyang tang puja bhajana muttamang Vanna ganda gunopetang etang kusuma santating Pujayami munindassa siripada saruruhe Pujemi buddhang kusumena nena punyena mittena chahocumukkang Puppang milayati yatha idang me Kayo tatayati vinassa bhavang Adivasettu no bante Paniyang parikappitang Anukang pang upadaya Patiganhatu muttamang Kayena vaca cittena pamadena maya katang Acayang kamame bante puripanya tathagata Kayena vaca cittena pamadena maya katang Acayang kamame dhamma sanditi akalika Kayena vaca cittena pamadena maya katang Acayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters. Suki Hontu. Suki Hotu. Suki Hontu. Well, this morning we have another speaker which I'd like to introduce to you, all of you. Hello, Dato Chalicha. Oh, we have not met each other for quite some time. Is that right? Quite some time ago already.
Yes.
Yeah.
A very good morning, Brother Chuan.
Yeah.
Well, it has been some time since I have been in touch with Subang Jaya, and especially after the completion of our Introduction to Buddhism courses. And I actually look forward to be back to Subang Jaya. I remember those evenings, especially on the Thursday evening when I have to rush from my office through all the traffic jam to go to Subang Jaya to help out in the introduction courses. And I enjoyed every moment of it, and I hope that I will be continuing, at least contributing some of my service and Dhamma Duta to Subang Jaya as much as possible. So hope to see you all more often. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this was wonderful. I can understand is that every time we mention about coming to Subang Jaya, SJBA, first thing comes to everybody's mind, oh, the traffic is terrible. How am I going to make it? Well, we understand that. And you make it, every week you were there. We really appreciate that very much. All right, brothers and sisters in the Dharma. All of us today, we are all very concerned. What will be our future due to the present environment that we are having, due to the unknown COVID-19 pandemic? It affects everyone. For the young adults who are deep concern of their future, example in their education or job opportunities. For the adults, well, their businesses, the jobs, and very important is the mental health. The mental health are being affected. This morning's topic is very pertinent and important to all of us. Do pay attention, listen, learn, and practice. The speaker will be trying to impart some knowledge to us. That's why I said earlier, share the link with your family and the young adults especially. Dato Charlie Chia is a very much sought after speaker at many Buddhist societies. There's so much to introduce a speaker, but I am impressed with the unique sharing of the Dhamma, especially on contemporary topics and easy guide to practice. Other than the adults, the speaker has successfully shared Dhamma to the youth from colleges or universities. Planting seeds to young is absolutely important as a mission in the Dhamma propagation. Dato Charlie, I understand that you're involved in the founding of societies involving the younger generations. Maybe I'd like to ask you to share a few words of those meritorious deeds that you have done.
Well, I was young before, and I was one of the youths that was very active, especially in the early 1980s. And since then, I have been very much involved with programs that helps out the younger generation. Now, I think we have to understand the younger mental mindsets and see how they organize themselves, how they think, their philosophy of life, and also their desires and needs. And to appeal to the young, you need to have the what you call activities and measures, and even the programs have to be tailored in order to suit them. And I'm actually very fortunate to be able to work with the youths, especially in the universities, the Buddhist societies that is existing in the various associations. And I hope that, through my stories and narrations and anecdotes, and hope to inspire that, these are some of the issues, and this is how the Buddha will be able to resolve it. And indeed, actually, I was very much rejoiced when I get back some of these youth who later on became successful people. And when they came back and says, I had a very good treasure in life, and that was the Dhamma. And the first, introduction to the Buddha's teaching was through one of your talks in the university or through one of the talks in the Buddhist Association. Now, if you are one of the Dhammadutas who actually supported and transformed some of these people, indeed, this is actually a very happy moment. You rejoice, and the merits that you accrue actually contributes towards your well-being. So I'm very fortunate to have accrued so much, and hopefully I would like to, through this happiness, share with many others.
Yes, definitely. In fact, my exposure is also through a late chief who spoke at the one of the university, and also the monks who came in, and I find that it makes a difference. That's why I'm here today. As mentioned earlier, many of us are very concerned of the future, and then it would definitely lead to a lot of worries and a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainties. And this morning we have youth also check in to listen to this talk because it concerns them greatly, and not only for the adults. So I hope the use today, if you are logging in today, make sure you post your questions if you have any. Thank you very much. And what should we do and how are we going to do it? So brothers and sisters in the Dharma, let's hear it from Dato Chalicha on the topic power of now. Over to you, Dato Chalicha.
Okay, a very good morning, Namo Buddhaya, and also hopefully that you are being kept well and happy, safe, and also observing your SOPs. Now, today's topic is actually very apt because we have been faced with a lot of stress, we have been faced with a lot of difficulties and uncertainties. And sometimes we wanted to find an answer of how to address these issues in our mind. Are we going to succumb to it? Are we going to be very much disturbed and disorganized as a result? We all fall back on what the Buddha taught. And I believe that there is actually the essence of Buddha's teachings is that we must be able to live in the present. Why? Because our present will justify the past. And of course, prepare us for the future. Do not worry about your past or speculate on the future because what we do now matters most and most relevant in this time. And we are going to use this slogan as what the Buddha normally would address most of us, and also to use it to help to pacify our minds and to move ourselves forward rather than be stuck in the past and have so much worry in the future. Let's move to the next slide. Now, a lot of us, we are worried about uncertainties, and uncertainties always come about when we speculate and worry about the future. So what shall we do? So the best way to predict the future or to mold the future is to create it now. Because what matters most, as I said earlier, is what are we doing now in order to ensure that we have certainty in life. Next slide. So are we going to procrastinate? Are we going to take our time and think about it? Or are we going to say that, well, today I'm too busy, I will not be able to dwell myself in this learning, and also to put that into practice, and then eventually realize. So Nike has a very good slogan. Nike say, don't procrastinate. If you wish to do anything, if you wish to progress, if you wish to mold a future for yourself, then just do it. Don't think too much, right? Next. So many of you would have read this book. It is one of the most powerful books that gives you a guide to spiritual enlightenment. Eckhart Tolle is the author, but he's a Swedish. But what has that Swedish man got in what you call similarity with the Buddha's teaching? Is that if you go through the whole book and read every passage of it, the words of the Buddha ring very loud because it is in sync with whatever we have been learning from the Dharma. And Eckhart Tolle has been very successful in promoting the concept and the spirit of living in the present and the power of this present moment. Right? Next. So he has a what you call advance into many practical aspect of it. In other words, practicing the power of now and how to maintain the stillness in your mind in order to be able to have the right decisions and solutions. And thus, you have a guide that is presented to you. Now, when you look at these titles itself, again, it rings so much in your ears if you are a practicing Buddhist. And it is very similar to what the Buddha taught, and it's very powerful. And that's why we say the power of now should be the maxim in every moment of our time. Do not worry, because worry does not solve the problem. So if by worrying it not solve the problem, then why should you worry? You should do something about it now. And you know that the present moment is the present moment that you are in control. You are not in control of your past, neither are you in control of your future. What you can control is, I can do something about it now. I can sit, I can think, and I can talk. And therefore, these are the inspiration that we should get from both Eckhart Tolle as well as also the Buddha's teachings. Next. So Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual teacher, and he was an author who was born in Germany, but educated in the University of London, right? And at the age of 29, he began to develop a profound inner transformation, radically changing his whole life. And because of that, he developed a philosophy, but not knowingly that he was treading the path of the Buddha Dharma. And of course, he did acknowledge that he got his inspiration from the various philosophies. And one of the strongest philosophies is the Buddha's teachings. Next. Now let's look at this slogan that he gave. The only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step that you are taking at this moment. That's all there ever is. Which means to say, you don't have to worry a thing. You just have to say, what can I do now? What am I doing now? And what can I do in order to prepare for whatever that is to come? And if we can dwell in this policy, our mind is very distracted from our past. Our mind is very distracted from our future. The focus is at this present moment. Next. Now, too much of the past will give you a lot of guilt, isn't it? Because of the things you have done, and you feel very guilty about it. And by feeling guilty, it doesn't solve the situation. Although it does help in justifying what you are today, but it is actually irrelevant. And when you have too much of your past, you tend to regret of what you have not done, regret of certain things that you should have done, but you did not do it. And you also have a lot of resentment. You feel very angry about the situation, that all these events that has happened in the past were not fair, were not good for everyone, does not benefit you or anybody else. So you had that anger built up, and that anger, if allowed to grow, would overwhelm us, and thus we will, as a result, develop a lot of unsatisfactoriness or dukkha. And grievances is also a very symbolic if we dwell in our past, because you will have a lot of complaints about, no, that should be done this way, that should be done that way. And eventually you will find that, by just having grievances, the matter still exists, and the matter has not resolved by itself. And you also have what we call sadness. Not only do you get anger, you feel very remorseful. You sink into very depressed and very emotional distress. So the sadness itself will then overwhelm, give a lot of negativities. And does this help your life? It doesn't. And of course, you have a lot of bitterness. You have a lot of what you call hatred. You have a lot of anguish. You have a lot of anxieties. So I hope that, that by understanding that when you dwell too much in your past, does it bring you any benefits? You can't. Now let's move it to the future. Can we enlarge this slide a bit? Okay, thank you. Now, when you have dwelt into too much of the future and says, oh, I want to be like this, I want to be like that, I expect this to happen, I expect that to happen. And when you are having no control of it, and as a result, waiting for that destiny to happen, it will create a lot of worries and unease. Unease means, can I do it? Can I achieve it? Am I capable of moving into that direction? So that creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of sort of like uneasiness, a lot of difficulties in coming to terms with what you can do. And when that happens, tension and stress. Now, I think this is the one of the most common maladies and ailments affecting the society of today, is because we have too much stress. And it has given rise to a lot of difficulties like illness, given a lot of rise to a lot of mental instabilities, and to a certain extent, people even to take their own lives. And you can see it happening in these times of pandemic, when people are so helpless in situation when they cannot control, where they cannot move into. And so therefore develops themselves into fear and worry. And many a times we learn from the Buddha's teaching that by worrying, it doesn't solve your problem. So if it doesn't solve the problem, then why worry? Fear is because you do not know what is the outcome. You do not know how it's going to happen. And you feel that you have no control of it. And therefore you are scared. You are fearful. And this is actually quite a dangerous move. Right? So therefore, the understanding of present moments is that, okay, let go of the focus on the past. Let go on the focus of the future. And let's come to the present moment and feel who you are, what you are, and how you are. And therefore, this is a very Zen understanding. And this is actually one of the bases of mindfulness and one of the maxims in mindfulness. And if we can actually focus your mind on the present moment and says, okay, I am sitting, I'm listening to the Dhamma, I am watching a screen, I'm moving my hands, I'm feeling good, and my thoughts are on how and what I will be doing. It gives a lot of lightness, isn't it? It gives you a feeling of relief because you are not what you call overwhelmed by the anguish and guilt and resentment and stress and worry and fear. All this falls by the sidelines. And therefore, when your lightness happens, out come a feeling of joy, a feeling of peace. And thus you are free from all the binds that held you, either your past or your future. So you had that sense of freedom. And this is what the Buddha taught most of all, is that there's nothing much you can take care of your past, neither is of your future, but you can take care of your present. And you are in control, right? Next. So living in the now is the truest path to happiness and enlightenment. Because it is only in the present moment that you can develop the right philosophy, the right thoughts, the right action, the right efforts. And you practiced all the Noble Eightfold Path in its truest sense. And knowing that this path eventually will lead you to the cessation of unsatisfactoriness. And that's when you realize that this is the path. And you have full saddha or confidence in this path. It arises in our mind enlightenment. You are relieved. You are free. You are in everlasting happiness. Next. So realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. And that is why he says that the power lies in this present moment when you can develop and when you can control. So make it the primary focus of your life. Next. So unhappiness is always created whenever you are out of alignment with your present moment, isn't it? Because you suddenly lost track of your present, your mind then strays away into, oh, you know, in the past I was like this, in the past I did that, in the past I had this problem. Then you move into your future. Oh, what will I be? How will I overcome it? How would I resolve these issues? And as you dwell in this, you are out of alignment. And out of alignment gives you the stress, gives you the unsatisfactoriness, gives you the dukkha. So whenever you are out of alignment with the present moment, unsatisfactoriness will arise. So cessation of unsatisfactoriness means try to focus and be aligned with your present moment. Next. So basically, it's a simple slogan. Always dwell on it. Do not stay in your past. Let it go. Do not dream of the future. Don't have to go there. Concentrate. Focused on the present moment. Now, we all have to come to an understanding that our mental states is a continuous flux. It's continuous. And because it's continuous, you can actually move backwards to the past, and you can also forecast and move front to your future. Imagine this is a sine curve, the rise and fall of an energy. And this is your mind. Because our mind is actually a bundle of energy, part of your pancha khandhas, the mind and the body, or the nama and the rupa. So therefore, if you have a sine curve like this, which means to say, when you are at the top, it didn't happen at the top just like that. It must have caused by the power and the momentum that pushes you to the top. And when you are at the supreme and the ultimate and the climax of the top, it will then have to come down. And when it comes down, the power of you being at the top will push you all the way down, and the energy flows. And when it flows down, because of the speed, it then becomes a momentum, an inertia to push you up again to the crests. So you are actually constantly moving as long as you have the energy, the momentum, the inertia. And in our lives, we basically call that inertia or momentum our karmas. What we have done in our past has pushed us to the future. Therefore, we are a result of our past. And what we will be is a result of what we do in the present that pushes it to the future. So therefore, how you want your future to be is how you generate the energy, that momentum, that karma, in order to push it up to the future. So it's a continuous flux, and it keeps on continuing. And if you understand the mind is such that if we can focus on that point, we will be able to decide how we want the energy to go. And we will then be able to justify how our energy has come from. Next slide. So therefore, it's very simple. Don't dwell in your past. And don't dream too much of your future. It may be a thought, but don't be too concentrated on it. Most important is to concentrate the mind on the present moment. And a lot of practice eventually you are going to do as a Buddhist, as a lay disciple of the Buddha's teaching, will be basically what you are going to do at this present moment. Next. Because why? Even Lao Tzu has said, if you are depressed, because you have come from your past, you are living in your past. That's why you are depressed. If you are anxious, then you are living in the future. So you are neither here nor there. You are in the past and in the future where you allow that flow to take control. But if you are at peace, and when you have the peaceful states, then you live in the present. So as I move you and keep on reminding you, you now feel the power of now. Right? Next. Why? Because the past is already gone. The past is the past. The energy that has arisen is actually pushing what you are today here. But it's already done its job. It's gone. The future is not yet here because it depends on what you are going to do. It depends on what you have contributed towards it. It depends on what you are actually molding yourself towards it. So there's only one moment for you to live. And that is the present moment. Feel the present moment. Are you here now? Are you mindful now of what you are doing? Next. So the secret of health also is very important because we not only do we take care of our mind, we also take care of our body. So the secret of health for both the mind and body is not to mourn the past, nor worry about the future, not to anticipate trouble, but to live in the present moment wisely, earnestly, and usefully. So eventually when you sit back and think about what you can do now, oh, there are plenty. There's a lot of things that you can do now. A lot of people now are so concerned about the pandemic. Should we dwell in that negativities of how we are going to suffer as a result of that pandemic? Or are we going to use this opportunity and look at it from this angle, in that positive light of it, and says, what can I do now in this present moment in order to justify that pandemic and to prepare me for the post-pandemic? A lot of new norms have happened. A lot of new philosophies have taken form. And even to this extent, a lot of us have realized that actually the pandemic has opened our minds and to see things in the different light. Imagine now, when the world slows down, there is a lot of benefits to nature and a lot of benefits to the climate, a lot of benefits to the balance between the forest and the urbans. And you realize that the air is now purer. The sound is now less disturbing. The animals are now feeling less stress. And we have now more opportunity to do the things that we want to do, build up the relationships amongst our family, amongst our colleagues, among our friends, and amongst our community. And this is an opportunity for us to reach out, to shower our compassion, to shower our joys, to shower our inspiration to people who are in need. And you have every availability of time and effort. And we ought not to worry about the uncertainties, because there are many ways to touch the nose. You can touch it that way, you can touch it this way, and there are many ways to resolve a problem. So when you are in these thinking processes now, it basically prepares you, it basically molds your character into facing your future. Next. So nothing is more precious than being in the present moment. That you are fully alive and you are fully mindful. And I believe you know our great teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. And his teaching just revolves around how we live now. How we be in the present moment. And how we become mindful of what we are doing now. Because the strong emphasis is that whatever we have contributed at this present moment, the seed that we sow at this present moment will surely bear fruit, because we are preparing the soil and the conditions. So if you have a chance to read all the teachings that is propounded by Thich Nhat Hanh in accordance to the Buddha's philosophy and teachings, you will gain a lot of insight into the right positivity of mind. And what matters most is a positive mind in these difficult times. Peaceful mind, positive mind is how we resolve problems. Not anxiety, not desperation, not depression and stress. Next. Now let's look at Thich Nhat Hanh's methodology. Basically, he asks us to breathe. And breathing in. And as you breathe in, you focus your mind off, I calm my body. I calm my mind. And then breathe out, you give a smile. So therefore, you just focus the mind on this. Breathing in, breathing out. And this is actually one of the first base of mindfulness, satipatthana. The first base basically makes us aware of our body. Aware of what our body is, what states is it in. It is breathing, and you're aware that it is breathing. You're aware that it is breathing in, and it is breathing out. But in the course of breathing in and out, you calm your body and you calm your mind. And what are you doing now? You are actually dwelling in the present moment. And nothing else. The only moment that you are in. So therefore, your mind is not focused on your past, isn't it? Your mind has not dwelled on your future. So your anxieties and your worries and your fears, is it in your mind now? No. It is actually free. It is actually not present in the mind. And what is present in the mind is the calming, is the peace, is the smile. And remember this, that a lot of problems and a lot of difficulties, a lot of questions will remain unanswered if our mind is not in this state. It is only when we are calm and peaceful that the thought of the solution will arise. When you are in an exam hall, when you are a student, You wanted to remember that formula, but it didn't come in. And you panic. You say, I'll not be able to solve this problem or this math because the formula is not available. So what do? You are advised to calm down yourself. And some even just take in their breath and lie on the desk. And as you are very calm and peaceful, the formula arises out of its own. And there you are. You catch it, quickly scribble it. And then you say, okay, now I have the formula. Let me solve my maths problem. And as you apply the formula to solve the maths problem, the problem is solved. And you have a QED at your bottom. Therefore, answers and solutions arises in a calm and peaceful mind. So what should you do now? You should now calm down your mind. You should now calm down your body. And you should have positivity and peacefulness. And that's why you smile. And therefore, dwelling in the present moment is the solution, is the methodology, is the way of us to overcome and overwhelm whatever that will arise in the future. If you don't want negativities, then have a peaceful mind. If you don't want to have a lot of tension and stress, then have a peaceful mind and let the answers arise. Let's move on. So when you are in the present moment, you realize that you are living, isn't it? You realize that life is available. You have this life, and you can make most use of this life. And this life has a lot of potential yet to be uncovered. And if that is the case, use it, develop it, cultivate it, and make this life useful not only for yourself, but can benefit others. And if you are able to think and be inspired with this, then everything will then become according to what you wish for. And it is actually one of the best gifts if you can see what life is about by just looking at what are you doing now. Next. So we have a lot of possibilities available in each moment. Then we realize we have a lot of things that we can do with this life rather than succumb to fate, destiny. In other words, the Buddha has always said, your destiny is in your hands. What you wish to have, what you wish to become is depending on what you want to do now. So we have a lot of possibilities, many opportunities, many ways of doing things. And it is very important, especially during this difficult time when a lot of young people have a lot of worries about what they will be, especially after the pandemic. Next. So breathing in, breathing out, I calm my body, I smile, dwelling in this present moment. And I know this is the most wonderful moment. Enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, you are enjoying life. It's like relaxing and eventually feel the sky. And then you realize the sky is blue. Finally, you hear the sounds. And suddenly you hear the birds are chirping. The birds are singing. And when you look at your body and you realize, my body is well and happy. And as you realized it, you begin to feel good about your body. And you say, I want to nourish it. I want to protect it. I want to ensure that it does its work and role in a well and happy moment. So this is a wonderful moment. And Thich Nhat Hanh always mentioned this in his talk. Next. This poster appears in many, many people's homes. And each time they look at it and says, present moment, wonderful moment. Because this is the joy that you can get by just observing what you are now. And when you are having that thought, your mind is free from a lot of negativities, a lot of defilements. And that is exactly how we should focus if we have not gone into object or samatha, but you are mindful. And that brings us to meditation. Next. Next. So happiness is here and now. It doesn't happen in the past because it's gone. It doesn't happen in the future because it's yet to come. If you can experience the happiness here now, then that is the real happiness that you are talking about, that you wish for, that you want to dwell, and you want to have more present moments. Next. But all this has to do one step at a time. The practical aspect of it is that you cannot muddle up too many things. And says, while at the same time you are living in the present, you want to have a little glimpse of your past. And you want to have a little speculation about your future, and you flip over each thoughts. It will disturb you. You will not get that power of living in the present. So one step at a time, you have to say, okay, if I want to think about my past, let it be in the past, but let me realize it. And eventually when you're aware it, note it. When you note it, let it go. Then if any glimpses of your future comes about, or any concern about the future comes about, then you say, I see it, but note it, and then let it go. Our mind is like that. The moment we start noting it, it fades away, whatever that arises. And when your mind is free now, come back to the present moment. Isn't that what we all learned in our meditation? Next. So before I end, earlier slide, please. Before I end, I just want to focus our mind, especially when we say we want to practice living in the present moment. And the most important practice is meditation. And meditation is based on what we call the basis of mindfulness, especially when you are doing your vipassana meditation. Now you are focused on your mind, and you just have to ask yourself, what am I doing now? Because in order to train that mind, in order to focus, you have to tell yourself and instruct yourself. What am I doing now? I'm focused on my body. I'm feeling and watching my breath. I'm moving my hands and I'm scratching my face. I'm moving my leg. I'm walking, stepping, walking. You are now living in the present moment of being aware of your body. Feel your body. Be aware of what your body is doing. Then, of course, our mind wanders into a lot of feelings. You feel there is a pain in your leg. What are you doing now? You are watching that pain in your leg. And as you are watching the pain in your leg, be aware of the pain rising, climaxing, and then it subsides and it falls. Then it comes back again, climaxed, and then it falls again. and just focused on that moment that you are in, watching the pain, watching the itchiness as it rises and subsides, and then rise again and subsides. So you are watching Vedana Nupassana, or the base of feelings, feeling of warmth, feeling of coolness, feeling of pain, feeling of itchiness. And suddenly then you moved into your thoughts. What are you thinking now? There is a thought of an apple, a thought of a flower, a thought of lotus. And you're aware. What am I doing now? You're aware of the thought of a flower lotus. And your mind is on nothing else except on the flower lotus. So therefore, focus on it. I am thinking of the flower lotus. I'm seeing the flower lotus. That's what you are doing now. Then the thought moves into, lotus. I have to offer lotus on this Sunday's puja. I will be attending the puja this Sunday. And this lotus will then help me in the puja to remind of the transiency and the impermanence of life. This lotus will remind me of the transiency of phenomena which changes from one form to another. This lotus represents the ultimate achievement of rising from the muds to become a stainless petals of lotus. So what are you doing now? You are in Dhamma Nupassana. So therefore, in our Vipassana meditation, we are mindful of our body now, we are mindful of our feelings now, and we are mindful of our thought now, and we are mindful of the development of the thoughts now. In other words, you are living in the present of the four bases of mindfulness. And once the mind has actually synced with all these thoughts, it then gives rise to a realization that there is no permanent rise, neither is there a permanent fall. That means the itchiness doesn't occur permanently. It rise and fall. The pain rise and fall. The breathing in and out also appear and disappear, rise and fall. You will come to a realization of anicca, impermanence of all phenomena, as long as they are conditioned to exist. You then realize that there is no permanent entity for you to say, stop, don't change, don't transform, don't rise, don't fall. It can't. It has to continuously rise and fall. And if you are attached to a permanent rise or a permanent fall, then you are going to be disappointed. You are going to be unsatisfied. It will never happen. So therefore, you will then realize that this is the characteristics of all phenomena. Anicca, anatta, and dukkha. There you are. You have realized all phenomena falls in this. Your attitude now becomes different. Your attitude now becomes something that you say, well, since they are all the time changing, there's nothing for me to hold. And if it holds, it will lead to unsatisfactoriness. Therefore, I don't want to hold. There's nothing for me to hold. And there's nothing for me to grasp. And if your mind do not grasp, if your mind do not hold and cling, isn't that freedom? Isn't that release? Isn't that what we call renunciation or detachment? And that is what we call the ceasing of craving. And when we cease from craving, is the cessation of dukkha. So during that present moment, when you are seeing all these things and realizing the anicca, anatta, dukkha, the mind then goes into happiness. And this realization gives rise to a lot of peace, a lot of bliss, a lot of ultimate happiness. And this achievement is by the focusing of our mind on the present moment. And at the same time, when we have difficulty in meditation, we just have to ask one simple question when we sit down quietly, cross-legged, in a lotus position. And he says, okay, where shall I start? How shall I focus my mind? How shall I hold that concentration? How shall I hold that mindfulness? We just have to ask one question. What am I doing now? And therefore, you go into your present moment. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm watching. Now I'm mindful. Now I'm focused. And you are living in this present moment. And you are enjoying this present moment, which is actually the bliss, the ultimate happiness of all our happiness. So with that, I hope that you will be able to, next slide, smile, don't worry, be happy, because by worrying doesn't solve any problem. So be happy, smile. Thank you very much. And may you all be well and happy, and may you all have the best health, because health is the precious, most precious gain, and contentment is the greatest wealth. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ya, Namo Buddhaya, Dato.
Namo Buddhaya, Brother Chip.
Well, just like in the past, many of us have benefited tremendously from the wisdom of the sharing of the Dharma. Thank you so much, Dato, and Sadhu, for a very interesting, very inspiring talk this morning on the power of now, and explain to us the benefit of not to cling on to the past, because the past is already gone, and not to worry about the future because it has not come, but to live in the present moment, because that will bring us a lot of peace and happiness. Thank you so much, Dato. We shall now proceed with the Q&A session. Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, if you have any questions for Brother Dato Charlie Chia, you may post your question in the comment box. I think we have a lot of time today. The first question comes from KCBA. It was mentioned that do not dream of the future. However, for those who are still working, our boss keep asking, what do you aspire to be in the next 5 years, and prepare development plan for yourself? How do we manage that, as we do not to be stressed out when as just want to be happy with the present moment? Dato.
Thank you, Brother Chim. And it's a very good question, because it affects a lot of our youths today. And also, at the same time, we have to be able to differentiate between ambition, right, and aspiration. Once we have an ambition, is that we aim to be someone, we aim to be somebody, we aim to achieve certain, what you call, the heights of in our achievements. But if we don't get it, and if we don't achieve it, we are going to be disappointed. So it will lead to a lot of disappointments, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of unsatisfactoriness. So ambition, yes, but are you prepared to not despair or do not be unhappy if you don't achieve it? Can you tell yourself that? So therefore, our terminology should be aspiration. So a dream can be an aspiration. You aspire. You aspire to be somebody. You aspire to achieve that position. You aspire to get what you call wealth. But you tell yourself that after trying so hard, am I going to be disappointed? Am I going to be unhappy? Can I prepare myself for that moment? I give you a simple example. This gentleman went to see a fortune teller. And the fortune teller tells him that, well, your destiny is good. Because when you touch 40 years old, you are going to be a millionaire. So what he did, this person, believing in it, then starts to work and eventually move on in life until his 40th birthday. He then checked his bank account. He has achieved, but he achieved only 500,000 ringgit. He didn't reach his target, 1 million. Is that a failure? Or is that an achievement? It's like the analogy of looking at a bottle of a glass of water which is half full or half empty. Half empty or is it half full? Depending on the set of minds that we are looking at it. And are you prepared to prepare yourself for that set of mind? So therefore, when you have these dreams that you have, you are entitled. You can dream. But what are you doing about it now in order to achieve that dream? You can list it down. My dream is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But at the end of the day, did you move to do something about it? I always like to use this analogy of 天才地才人才. You know, 天才地才人才 means heaven luck, earth luck, and human luck or man's luck. Now, 天才 is your destiny. Well, you are born with the destiny of being a rich man or being a very intelligent and a genius, or you are born with a lot of what you call luck that will support and give you your benefits. Yes, true. Through the actions of our past, we probably have accumulated a lot of 天才, a lot of good karmas. But is there a 地才 or the conditions arising for you to germinate it, for you to harvest it? Because when you sow a seed, that seed needs to have the right soil. That seed needs to have the right conditions. So whether there's opportunity, whether there is a 贵人, whether there's a benefactor, whether there is the right timing, it's all the 天才 for that seed to germinate. But there are many people with the right seed and the right condition, unfortunately still cannot achieve it. I give you a simple example. There was this man again who went to see the fortune teller. And the fortune teller says that when you are 40th birthday, the sky is going to open and gold is going to fall down on the sky, all meant for you. And true enough, he waited until his 40th birthday and he looked at the sky opened and the gold fell. And it all fell in front of his house. Therefore, he has his gold waiting to fall and the timing was right. The condition was there, but the condition was that the gold fell in front of his house. He sat at the door and he says, well, if that gold is meant for me, it will come into my house. But the gold is in the public road. And as people walk past, they collect their gold. Since it belongs to no one, it's public property, and they move off and the gold becomes less and less and less. You have the right seed, you have the right condition, but you did not do anything in order to go and collect the gold into your house. So that boils to one question is, what are you doing about it? If you have the right intention, what you call dream, and you intend to move into that direction, but ask yourself whether you have done anything about it. And same thing like you want to score 10 distinction. Are you going to sit and relax and watch television and play your guitar? Or are you going to really put an effort? And that whatever you do today in the effort will definitely bear fruits. And if you have put sufficient effort, that sufficient effort will result in your 10 distinctions. But if you have not contributed anything, just laze around and procrastinate, nothing will happen. So therefore, understanding this concept of what I can do now so that it can achieve my dream is more important than the dream itself. Because dreams, everybody can have. But the ability to do something now is within the limits and the capabilities of each one of us and how we nourish it and promote it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sadhu, for the very good answer with so much wisdom to a very good question from KCPA. We go for the next question. Dato', during this pandemic, many people are suffering from uncertainties, health issues, loss of jobs, income, loss of relatives and friends. Is there any suttas taught by the Buddha that can help the suffering ones to overcome their sufferings?
Well, there are many sutras as taught by the Buddha that actually enables us to understand the vicissitudes of life, the uncertainties of life. And these are part and parcel of the changes, part and parcel of impermanence. And as a result, when these changes happen and we cannot accept it, that is where we become disappointed. That's where we have dukkha or suffering. Because uncertainties, health issues, loss of jobs and income, loss of relatives and friends, they are all vicissitudes. They are all our gain and loss. They are all our blame and praise. They are all our happiness and unhappiness. So therefore, if we can understand that these changes is inevitable, you have to face it one way or another. And since it has happened and changes have taken form, are we going to succumb to it? Are we going to despair from it? You don't have to, isn't it? You can actually do something about it. And especially during this pandemic time, where people are losing their work, is there alternative? Is there any other avenues that you can work or find a job or do a project that can generate some income? You remember during the last financial crisis in Thailand, there was this man who was a billionaire or having lots of money. And he lost all his fortune within that crisis itself. Does he despair? Does he have any difficulties to live on? Or he says, okay, I will sell sandwiches. And he went on the road and organized himself together with friends and started selling sandwiches. And eventually, he began to recover and he began to slowly inch back into his vocation, his businesses, and he became well and he became successful after that. Same thing like, for example, there is, if you watch on TV lately, there was this program in Channel News Asia about how these young people, when they are faced with a job loss, an air hostess decided to use her talent in the washing and repairing of toilets, WCs. And he advertised herself as a specialist in WC, and when you have a difficulty in unplugging your block WCs, use her. And true enough, she became very busy because during pandemic, most people are at home, so they have no access to repair people. And since it is advertised on the online, they call her, and eventually she went over to help them to repair. Same thing with this man who was actually a very successful manager. he decided to be a Grab delivery. And he delivers and tide him over, because what matters most is during this period of time, this crisis, can they actually do something in order to tide over this crisis? Now, normally a lot of people, they worry beyond the crisis. That means to say, oh, what shall I do after the crisis? Oh, I'm going to be very totally devastated by the crisis, and the aftermath, I'm going to suffer very badly. Don't worry about that, because it's yet to come. You do not know what is going to happen. But what is happening now is you need to put food on the table. You need to pay your bills. And therefore, what is the things that you can do in order to survive? And a lot of businessmen, we always advise them, look, no, now is a cash flow issue. Just keep your nose above water. Don't think of profits. Don't think of your company will not be able to make profits. But how are you going to make enough just to pay your bills? Whatever bills that can become due, and you will be able to overcome. So the sutras basically taught us many things. That there is this challenge or crisis which is inevitable. There is these vicissitudes of life that we have to face. And the only way to face it is to accept it first. And when you're able to accept it, a big part of the problem disappear. And then you then manage the crisis. Accept the crisis and then manage the crisis. And by management means what can you do now? Don't worry about your past. Don't worry about your future. Do something about it now just to keep yourself afloat so that you are ready for the challenge after that. So with that, thank you, Brother Chin.
Yeah. Again, it's just the power of now, Dato'. Thank you for your very good examples of how we can overcome our the sufferings that many people are having during this pandemic. I think we go for the next one. Is there any more questions? From GK Tan, Sister GK Tan. Hi, Dato' Charlie. Thank you for your sharing. Working in the corporate world, there are many business activities running now to feed the business for future. This is never-ending activity. How do you recommend for us to cope this better and living in the present?
Well, I am also considered a corporate man, right? And I help to run a property development, a construction. And do we despair over the lack of income, lack of revenue, and eventually having to pay your salaries every month for the staff? And this is actually quite scary for a lot of people. A lot of companies now have actually thought of how to reduce their cost. Number one, reduce their cost is salaries will be cut, but not cut until you cannot survive, but cut until you can still survive, work from home, and eventually contribute towards the preparation, what you can do now in order to prepare when the pandemic ceases. And a lot of product development, a lot of new processes can be thought of, a lot of spring cleaning, a lot of resorting and realignment of your processes, a lot of what you call strategies can be thought of and researched into. Plenty of work. In fact, we are all very busy, right? Although working from home, although some of us cannot meet, but there is Zoom and Zoom and Zoom sessions every day. We are still running a lot of business activity to feed the business for the future, right? But the question is, are we going to despair over what is going to happen? Because we are already in the crisis. The income already not coming in. So how to make use of whatever products that we have in order to get the income? Now, since I'm in the property development, there is actually a lot of companies who couldn't sell because of the wrong products. But if they hit the right products, they are able to sell. Why? Landed property are still selling. A lot of our Malaysians actually have a lot of savings. You are fortunate to know that Malaysians actually are people who save for the raining season. And especially during this period of time, corporates are actually cutting their margins, costs are being cut, products prices are now being cheaper, and opportunities for investments are now becoming more available. And a lot of people are saying that this is the best time to buy. And that is when they moved in. Number two, there is this possibility of a revenge shopping. They call it 报仇, shop 报仇, because why? You have not been shopping for 1.5 years. So when the market opens, wow, you're going to buy everything. Well, this is going to happen. And are you preparing for it? Are you getting ready for it? Thirdly, of course, is the online. The social media and online is going to be the new norm. What are we doing about it? Have we been able to sell our products and move our marketing, move our gallery into a virtual mode? And these are examples that there is a never-ending activity, and this is how we should cope. Don't dwell in the difficulties. As long as we can keep our nose above water, our mind should be thinking of what can I do now, what can I change now, what can I prepare now, in order that when the times gets better, we are there. And remember, for every night, there will always be a morning. And for every morning, there will always be a night. For every rise, there will be a fall. For every fall, there will be a rise. That could instill positivity in us, because we must never despair when we fall, because there will always be an opportunity to rise, and it's sure to rise. It's a matter of time. Let's ride it out, and we will be what you call overwhelmed or overcome. Thank you, Sister
Chuketan.
Chuketan.
Yeah. It's amazing to have you, Dato', because we not only learn the Dharma, we can also learn the corporate wisdom. Okay, we go for the next question from Sister Jit. Thank you for the calming Dharma talk, Dato' Chia. If a person is feeling the suffering of a disease in the now and isn't happy, how does he focus on the present to be happy? Does he try to ignore the pain of the disease all the time? Appreciate your guidance, Dato'.
Well, basically, old age, sickness, and death is inevitable, number one. And that is a very strong lesson we learn. And we have to accept it as part and parcel of the process of nature. It's a law of nature. It's a process of nature. You can't challenge it. You can't fight it. When it comes, it comes. And we will have to face it in a very positive mode. Number two, we are basically comprised of two forms of energy: mental energy, physical energy, nama and rupa. Under our pancha khandas, we are actually comprised of the mental energy that have what we call consciousness, that have actually thoughts, that actually have feelings, and that is actually development of thoughts and feelings. And because we are processes of energy within ourselves, it has to be aligned between this earth, water, fire, and wind, because that is what rupa is about. The one pancha khanda, one of the pancha khandas. So when you have this earth, water, wind, and fire element that balance itself, then you will be at ease. You will not be in dis-ease. So when a disease happens, it is because these elements are not in balance. But the mind has to be strong. And that's why the Buddha in the Dhammapada verse says, when your body is sick, don't allow your mind to be sick. And that rings well in a lot of people. If they can recollect that verse when they are in this state of mind, they actually pacify them a lot and become more at peace with whatever sickness that they have. When I was a young man, 19 years old that time. I succumbed to a very strange disease where, you know, my body joints starts to become inflamed and become very painful. And I couldn't walk. It's totally incapable of walking. And I was hospitalized. The doctors shake their heads and says they practically do not know what is happening. It could be rheumatic fever. It could be cardiacs, issues. And they say basically all you have to do is just rest in bed. And not only rest in bed, complete rest in bed. CRIB. They hang a sign on my bed head. CRIB, complete rest in bed. So what shall I do? Right? Then the words ring well in my ear. When your body is sick, don't allow your mind to be sick. And by that, I then started to become positive and say, well, since I'm in the hospital and I can't discharge myself, I might as well enjoy the stay in the hospital. Although the pain is in the joints, but my stomach is still okay and my mouth is still okay, so I can eat. So I ordered the best meal and I tell them, whenever you give me kai pei, you must give me 2. Whenever eggs, I must have double. So I enjoyed good meals. I enjoyed my stay. And I enjoyed a lot of fun talking to all the young nurses. So the mind was positive. The mind was at peace. The mind was free from the succumbing to that disease. 1 month later, I was discharged. And the doctor says, basically, you doesn't show any, a deterioration, neither do you show any improvement. And we also don't know what is going to happen. So why not you check yourself out, go at home, rest at home. I rested for another 2 more months, still enjoying. Lots of friends come and visit me. I was treated like a VIP. And then life goes on. The pain slowly disappears. The inflammation disappears. That murmur in the heart which causes concern also disappear. That was 19 years old. And now I'm 66. Still alive. Right? Still probably healthy to a certain extent. So therefore, my answer to that question is that when we are in these states of disease, don't sink down to a low. Always maintain your peace of mind. And understanding energies itself, when our body is free from that mental stress, because the moment we are desperate, the moment we are anxious, the moment we are very depressed, our energy actually does not promote the flow of your physical and mental energy. So you get stuck all over the place. And remember, if your body is not in alignment due to the stress, then your body will not be able to discharge whatever diseases that you have. So allow your mind to be in peace, in happiness, and when that stress dissipates and disappears, then you find that all this inflammation, all this pain, all these blockages that occurs in our chi, in our system, will then also realign itself because there's no more stress to block it. And eventually then it will flow accordingly and the alignment takes place. Then you find that there is a miracle. And miracle happens when the conditions is right. Miracles means the energy will then be aligned with each other when you allow it to happen. So what are you going to do now? You are now going to allow your energy to flow. You are now going to allow your mind to be at peace. And if you can do that, somehow or other, that nature would find its balance and you will then be able to overcome. But a lot of times we say maybe the disease is too advanced. Your mental capacities and abilities are too limited because we have not been practicing. We have not been encouraging ourselves. We have not been able to energize our energy. And therefore, my advice to many of our new friends who have not yet suffered this, practice your meditation. Because this is going to prepare you for that final moments when you really need it to pacify the mind, make the mind at peace. and free the mind from all the past and all the future. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for a good answer, Dato. I think all this, your answer also reminded me of what late Chief Reverend used to say. When the body is sick, it's because of a disharmony of all those elements. So when your body is sick, let your mind not be sick too. Yeah, thank you. I think due to time constraint, we have only, if you have one last question. Any more questions? Is there any more questions? Yeah, another question from KCBA. Good day, Dato Charlie. If we are that Tian Chai and he doesn't know if the gold fall from the sky or drop by someone in front of our house, should we instead go and collect it?
Now, brothers and sisters, how many lives have you lived? How much gold have you collected in your previous life, which is actually remaining uncollected because the opportunity has not arisen and the condition is not right? In other words, we have sown a lot of seeds, be it good karmic seeds or be it bad karmic seeds. They follow us life after life, and this is what we call our Tian Chai, right? And at the same time, during this period of time, you so happen that you are born in the wrong place and the wrong time. So the condition is not there. And therefore, if the conditions are not there, or your Tian Chai, Ti Chai, or what you call, is not available, then you don't enjoy the benefits of it and you lament over it. Why lament? Why become unhappy over the situation when you have the Ren Chai, the human effort? And the human effort comes from your wisdom. And if you can develop that wisdom and says, can I do something about it? Can I work to generate more good merits? Sow more good seeds? Do you depend on your previous seeds to ripen, or do you depend on your present seeds to ripen? If you have generated a lot of good seeds in this life, of course, we say it's what we call the last in, first out. So the generation of your good seeds in this present life would be the one that will become more dominant. They will then take effect upon you and give you your benefits that you are due. So which is important? Do you depend on your past seeds or do you depend on your present seeds? So your present action is actually most critical. And what are you doing about it now in order to create that more seeds? We should put in more effort. We should put in more of our time. And we should actually use our wisdom to, what you call, do a lot of good actions, good thoughts, good speech, because these are the generative, the intention, or the niat that will then accumulate all the good merits and the good karmic seeds that we will be able to enjoy. So karmic seeds does not mean that you must always depend on your past. Your present one will be kept for the future. No. The present one is actually meant for the present. As long as you don't spend it, you then carry off forward to the next, together with your accumulative merits that you have accrued. So what is most important goal that you have is actually your present one. So you would not know what you have in your past, how much you have in your past, right? But it is important that you generate what you have. And definitely, if there is gold that is going to fall down from the sky, it is the present merits that will happen. So you can collect it anytime.
Yeah, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Once again, thank you very much, Dato, for the very interesting, very inspiring, and very educational talk this morning, which gave us a lot of take-home value on how to live a good, happy, and meaningful life by not clinging to the past, not worry about the future, but living in the present. Thank you, Dato. Sadhu.
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 Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. What am I doing now? What can I do now? You want to be depressed? Live in the past. Anxious? Looking at too much to the future. We want to be at peace, living it now. I find that there's so much information, so much we can learn. Breathing in, I calm my body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. The only moment, the present moment. Wonderful moment, happiness is now. We don't want negativity in the future. Be peaceful in the present moment. Make use of this life. Be useful to yourself and to others. A lot of possibility we can do in this life. Your possibilities are in your hands. Thank you very much for this Dharma sharing power of now. And also, the advice are simple and practical. Remember to meditate, to have a clearer mind. Thank you very much, Dr. Charlie Chia. And I hope that brothers and sisters, please help me to thank the speaker. This morning, you have all participated in the Sunday Buddha Puja service and listening to this very inspirational Dharma sharing. And we have interesting questions and answers during the Q&A session. With the merits accrued, let us share and dedicate our merits to all our living and departed relatives, families and friends, and all beings. We would like to share merits with our Kayanamitas who have fallen ill. May they have a speedy recovery. To the frontliners, for example, the doctors and nurses at the hospitals. To those who are seeking treatment at the hospitals, may they be free from harm and danger. Sharing merits. Imang no punya bagang mata pitunancha acharya nancha sabba satanancha sabba mitanancha sabba nyatinancha sabba petanancha sabba devatanancha bhajema. Imang no punya bagang sabba satanang dema sabbe sata sukita hondu. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamos satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana patiya. Idang me punyang asawaka yavahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Brothers and sisters of Dhamma, before we end, let's pay respect to the triple gems. Buddhang bujemi, Dhammang bujemi, Sanghang bujemi. To all devotees, thank you very much for participating, giving us likes and love responses. and various other responses in the comment box. Thank you. Please continue to help me to thank the speaker, Dato' Charlie Chia. We have come to an end to this 54th online Sunday Buddha Puja service. We will continue with the Sunday Buddha Puja service on Sunday, 8 August, which is next week. We encourage you to share your links with your family members. Please refer to SJBA's Facebook or your society's Facebook for the poster. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, please continue to stay safe, stay home. May you and family be safe, well, happy, and peaceful always. Suki Hontu. Goodbye. Sabe Sata Sukita Hontu.
Bahong sahan semabhinim mita sayudantang ngirimi kelang udita Sase